Hey guys, welcome back. Sorry about last video. I realized that because my earphones were actually blocking my sound, so I couldn't hear anything, and I was shouting almost. Yeah, I was almost shouting into the mic, and that kind of sucks. Sorry for anyone who had to deal with that. But yeah, we're gonna continue with the tutorial series. This is more again geared towards new players. So the main, let's by pressing Ctrl O, I can bring up the overview of the dungeon of what I've explored. So you can see here that Orc hasn't been touched yet, and I'm going to go do that now. That's the next step after Lair. So basically, myself personally, I would not go to Orc first, mostly because I don't like Orc. But I think for a newer set of players. Like for newer players, it's just it makes more sense to just go to Orc. Late dungeon has a couple of threats that are a bit more scary than Orc, so it's a lot. I guess it's a lot more safe to go to Orc. It's not necessary, but when you first start out, you want to pretty much get as much EXP as you can. You don't want to skip anything. You don't want to really do anything that would potentially increase your chances of death. Like for example, going into going into depths before, like, I don't know, your first rune could get you killed very easily because enemies there are really high level. I don't know what the point was, but I'm saying you do the easiest stuff first, and then you do the hard stuff as late as you can, so that it's as little danger to you as possible. Protection from fire, that's okay. I'll keep it in my inventory, but I won't have it on me. On my equipped. I don't know. Let's see what this glowing battle axe is. It's an anti-magic one. I don't really need it now. So there's nothing left to identify. This character has pretty much stabilized in terms of equips and stuff. He has nothing. Everything that he finds will be pretty much new for him, or adding to his existing stock of consumables, and consumables here will be, the way of him survive. The way to let him survive. Okay, I'm not doing so good with the sentence constructing front today. I'm just a little bit weird. Oh, so I guess there's not a lot to talk about with Orc. You just kind of want to stay out of line of sight of the green guys. You do that like pulling around corners. I have axes, and these enemies are really weak, so fighting in slightly open spaces doesn't really do too much. I'm not like too pedantic about engaging only one enemy at a time. I guess it's optimal to do so, but at this point in the game, it's just wasting a bit of time. I'm still like kind of pulling back just so that they don't get like a full 8-tile surround on me, but at the same time, I'm not too fussed about having 1 or 2 at a time hit me, because these guys don't do a lot of damage at all. I've fought like maybe 40 orcs already, and I haven't taken more than 20 damage at a time. So I guess it's always up to the player. If you're really safe, you will always avoid taking on big engagements, even with an axe. But this tutorial is trying to give a little bit of mixture between realistic gameplay and what you should be doing. I'm not trying to go 100% optimal, because that takes a lot of time. It's very tedious. It's not fun to watch. I've seen a bit of, I've played a couple of optimal games up to about Lair, and I haven't really enjoyed it. My normal time to get to Lair is under 12 minutes, and the whole optimal thing made it almost 35 minutes. So that's more than almost triple the amount of time that I usually take. So yeah, it's not that great. Okay, so Orc 4 is the bottom floor of Orc, and like Lair 8, it has a big vault full of enemies. This one seems to be the Giant's Vault, which is okay for me because I have a lot of health and I have the armor to back it up. So I'm just pulling back a little bit because I don't want to, unlike the Orcs, I don't want to be surrounded by these enemies because they do a lot of damage. So as you can see, I'm taking much more damage than usual. I'm going to Berserk here because the enemies are over here and they're unlikely to be brought close to me. So here the Cyclops is shooting rocks at me, so I'm going to go upstairs and go down a different path if I can. That's a very simple strategy for avoiding ranged enemies. I'll hopefully be able to engage them in a more favorable position, I guess, where I could find a nice corner to hide behind. Yeah, so Orcish Mines is not too difficult, which is why I guess the pair of quick blades. It's kind of why I'm not talking too much about it, because honestly, I don't think it's Orc is like kind of a it's okay as a branch, but it's not too difficult. It's kind of like I have some people who do Orc before Lair. It's a little bit more dangerous, but it's not incredibly so. So this is an anti-magic +9 battle axe, and I'm actually going to use this as my primary endgame weapon. And the reason why is because, you know, anti-magic is a good brand. It's got the same enchantment as my regular one, but it also gives me the resistance to fire. So I guess I should probably discuss a little bit about how to look at your artifact and tell if it's good or not. So the main thing that you're looking for in any weapon is its brand and its enchantment level. So if its enchantment level is high, it's good. If its brand is one that's suitable for your weapon, that's even better. And all the extra stuff needs to be considered like individually, I guess. I noticed that this character has no use at all, pretty much, for invisibility. He has 2 dex is not very important, but resistance to fire is incredibly important. So that single-handedly sold me the artifact, I guess. So that's, I guess, a bit of an example of, you know, reading an artifact. There probably will be more to consider over the course of this game, and I'll go through like trying to figure out what's a good weapon, what's a good armor, and what isn't. Because again, I see a lot of morgues on the crawl servers where where players just have this one artifact and they think it's good because they have it on at like Lair. They have it on like past their first rune, I guess, and it's just not that great. It's usually just something that's like has minus telly or minus. Oh, okay. Well, this is another artifact that's really interesting. So it's +5 pair of boots. So the maximum enchantment of a regular boot is 2. So this is already giving me 3 extra AC from a max enchanted boot. I have a +0 one, so that means that it's actually giving me 5 more armor. It's resist cold +++, which is very good. It's int -4, which is not relevant to me, and it's dex +4, which is pretty good. The only thing I'm scared about is being the only reason why I would consider not wearing this is because I have only 6 int, and bringing me down 4 could be potentially dangerous. Yeah, I'm in the red zone for intelligence, so I will be pretty much maxing int from now on, just as a bit of a precaution, I guess, which is, I guess, a reasonable assumption to make. This is not these are boots that essentially will never leave unless I find maybe like a boot of running, a pair of boots of running. So yeah, it's not too big of a deal. What's in here? I wasn't paying attention. So the golden potion is always nice to have. Un-ID'd potions I think are cheaper, so it's pretty straightforward to just, you know, buy it. If it's a good one, then you get it for cheap. Berserk Rage, I don't actually need that because, you know, my god is already the god of Berserk, so I don't need it. Let's go back to the dungeon. Now, after Orc 4, what's normally done is dungeon up to 15, which is the last level of dungeon. After that, it becomes depths, which is a lot harder. Yep. So I'm just tabbing through these enemies. At this point, kobolds are like D1 enemies. I don't really need to be too scared about it. I'm still being a little bit cautious about centaurs, just in case. So I pulled back in the corner to restrict vision. I'm gonna level int again. Hippogriffs, I didn't really talk about those because by the time I did reach them, they were just another vanilla enemy that didn't really do a lot. Yeah, so I guess you could say Crawl has a wide variety of enemies, but only some need a lot of thought before you engage them, I guess. Enemies like this, you can like this skeleton, you can just kind of kill in one hit, so it's not important. Alright, so I'm kind of worried that the background noise is going to show up in recording, but I'm not really sure how it works. So yeah, here's hoping. Yeah, there's nothing really important to enchant. These ugly things are actually pretty dangerous at the moment. But yeah, sorry, they would normally be dangerous to a character, but because, you know, I'm such a strong character, I've been built with mostly fighting and stuff, I am not actually that scared. Oh, I have RC+++ already, and I don't need, sorry, I have double plus already, and I don't need triple plus, so this Ring of Ice can now go. I'm instead going to put the fire resistance on, mostly because invisibility isn't going to be useful for this character. Not at this stage in the game. Wand of Cold, that's excellent. That's an extra bolt spell. Also, yeah, so I wanted to talk a bit more about the resistances. That last part, I guess, I screwed up a little bit. I had the numbers in my head, but I just couldn't say them for some reason. So the first point, I guess, of resistance gives for fire, cold, and no, for fire and cold gives you, I think, 50% damage reduction. The next one gives you 66%, and the final one gives you 80%. So you only take 20% of damage if you have 3 points of resistance for fire or cold. So it's actually it's mostly important to get the oh, flaming, excellent. So the flaming one is going to be useful for me because it can cut off Hydra heads. Now I'm not scared of Hydras at all, so I'm perfectly happy to melee them. Yeah, so it's mostly important to get the first point of resistance, and that's because it's the one. It's what reduces the most damage. It cuts 50% of damage, so that's the most important. So I guess if you ever are going into a branch that requires resistance, Nessos, he blinks, hastes, and shoots poison plus fire arrows. But unfortunately, he's not very strong in this sense. I may have to play a bit more of a squishy character for the next, if I do another tutorial series, mostly to, like, I guess, emphasize the fact that, you know, while a lot of these combat, like, precautions don't have application to this character, they will to a lot. So this Centaur Warrior, for example, if those two things had hit me, they would have done about 30 damage each to a normal character, and I would have been at half health. So this character would not have, like, I'm just like diving down to see if I can exhaust his supply. I don't know why I'm doing that. Yeah, so if it was a squishier character, I probably could have died. I don't know why there's 2. So let's take a look at my inventory, see if there's anything that can handle it. I'm going to shoot the lamp of fire at it, just so that I can summon something and hopefully distract it. I'm going to put regen on, and I'm going to, yeah, so the fire elemental is distracting it a little bit, and that's going to mean that I can, you know, kind of, oops, charge up to it. Or if the fire elemental doesn't just kill it outright. Yeah, so evocables are really good for beginner players, I guess. They're not. They require a bit of thought because you have to kind of know when to use them, and they need some training. So, you know, I wouldn't really recommend it for your first win. Actually, it doesn't really matter, but like if you are struggling to win, you know, just win with what you have. Don't worry about all this other stuff. These evocables I'm just picking up because, you know, in a pinch they could be a panic button. I'm not really going to train for them because, again, that's not the point of this tutorial. I'm trying to win with as little difficulty, I guess, with as little complexity as possible. That's probably what I'm aiming to do. Let's just drop some of the stuff that I won't use anymore. I'm going to enchant this fire dragon to max as much as I can because it's the armor I'm going to be using for the whole game. Yeah, so somewhere along the line, I decided that this character was going to be really, like, flat. Oops. I forgot to train my dodging. Okay, I'll do that now. Yeah, so I'm going to try to win with, like, nothing special. I'm going to try to win with as much consistency as possible. I'm going to use the Battle Axe of Chopping as much as possible again. Like, this is all to kind of prove that I guess you can win this game really consistently. And like, you don't need luck. You don't need. I guess you don't need like really good artifacts and stuff. You just need a bit of, you know, positioning. You need a bit of solid building, and yeah, you easily. Winning is not too bad for this game. I know it's like it's tough. The toughest part about playing this game, I guess, is learning all the stuff that you need to win. Once you have that, you know, winning is it's no big deal. It's good. It's excellent if you could win, but like it's not like it's how do you say this? Impossible. You shouldn't feel like you have to pretty much cheat to get the game to work for you. It's not that case. Like, you don't have to do all these things that are like, well, if this works out, I have a really good chance of winning. Because, you know, frankly, it's not necessary. I don't think I've done anything that has gotten me really great luck, I guess. I've picked up, like, the +9 Battle Axe of Sunlight, Anti-Magic, but the RF doesn't actually help me anymore because I already have triple plus. The Flaming Axe is great, wow. But I was handling Hydras without it. I didn't need it. Yeah, and I'm not even using like an amazing Executioner's Axe. I don't have the armor that I have, the Fire Dragon armor, I made myself. Like, the boots are pretty great, I guess, but you know, that's gonna happen in every game. You're statistically likely to get at least one, I guess, artifact that's gonna be pretty good. And I don't even consider RC triple plus to be that amazing. I usually only get around with like one pip, and if that. Like, I guess I guess like to prove the point as much as possible. Okay, I'm being a bit silly here. I guess to prove the point as much as possible, I'm going to maybe not use artifacts for now. Like, this is a cloak. It's got regen on it, I guess. I don't know. I haven't really decided. I guess that'll be a different series, where I'll just, like, you know, play the game with a Minotaur, and I won't pick up any artifacts, and I'll just make my own stuff. I'll use, like, god gifts, and that's it. I don't know. I haven't really thought about it. But, like, yeah, this character, he's getting good luck, but, like, every character gets good luck eventually if you keep them alive long enough. This one's just, there's no exception. I didn't get too much luck in the beginning. Actually, I got the Battle Axe, but I don't know, maybe this isn't the best game to show. For some reason, I've been getting a lot of luck. The Vinestalker, I guess, had less luck with, like, equips and stuff. Alright, so, Depths is over here. And this replaced Dungeons 16 to 27 in the old version. Okay, so I'm about to die. I'm just pulling back a little bit, hoping that my regeneration kicks in. It did. And yep, just gonna sit here and fight. Okay, so this replaced D16 to 27 previously in old patches, and it's a lot more difficult than Old Dungeon. Old Dungeon used to be just pretty much D14, slightly harder every time. Now Depth is incredibly more difficult, so I suggest not going into it immediately after reaching D15. You usually want to get 2 runes before you go in. I find it kind of funny that they have rune lock on vaults, which means that you need to have at least 1 rune to enter, but they don't have rune lock on depths. I'm not sure what the thought process is behind that, but you know, what can you say? Okay, so out of all of these things in the shop, of course, I'm going to take the yellow thing first. It's yellow, so it means it's the best. It's not, but you know, it's a very clear guideline, and I don't know, creating no-brain decisions like rule of thumbs and stuff. I think that's going to be pretty critical for, I guess, teaching people how to play. Like, if you have a player and they encounter a new situation, they should have some kind of guideline to fall back upon, and that's kind of what I'm hoping to create. Yeah, unfortunately, I'm a bit inexperienced in, like, I guess, delivering online content, and reporting and stuff. So, you know, this tutorial, while it's as good as I can get it right now, it's not as good as it could be. So I'm gonna probably make a couple more and have a think about it. Alright, so this is the first interesting branch point. I have two possible options here. I could either go to Swamp, or I could go to Spider's Nest. Now, in this situation, I think because of the Battle Axe of Flaming, I will go to Swamp. I'm going to check my resistances before I go in though. So I don't have See Invisibility. I do have resistance to Poison, and I have very strong resistances against Fire and Cold. So both Swamp and Spider are Poison-based branches. Hydras are the main enemy of choice in Swamp, and Spiders, there's just a whole bunch of weaker, more numerous but slightly less dangerous enemies. So I'm considering Swamp as my first one. Spider, they're both about the same difficulty for this character. But yeah. So if there was Snake and Shoals, I probably would rank Shoals as the most difficult. But that's again, it's I guess personal evaluation. I don't know if anyone else thinks Shoals is hard. I'm kind of regretting my. Okay, it's not really regret, but I realize now that I don't have Flying, which is pretty good for Swamp, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. As long as I stay out of deep water, it's pretty much the same thing. That's just doing like any other land-based branch, I guess. So I'm gonna go ahead and ID my stuff. What do I have ID'd? I have Confusion and Fireball in my inventory. I don't really need those anymore. Confusion is great as a hex, but as time goes on, enemies get more magic resistant, and I'm not training Evo, so there's no point. So this is a Thorn Hunter, and this is a Shambling Mangrove, and both of those enemies are very tough. So I'm going to summon a Brother in Arms just to help me out, and this trivializes the fight. So what could have been potentially really dangerous, I took next to no damage for. And I guess just identifying dangerous situation, take appropriate response. This is all I'm doing. Interesting that I don't have a hat slot yet, so I guess I'll put that on. It's funny. It's kind of funny that the tiles removed my horns when they put the hat on, but whatever. That's okay. Alright, so slimes I haven't really discussed. The thing about these guys is that they kind of pile onto each other and get bigger and bigger. You never want to fight them in corridors and confined spaces where they're more likely to combine, because combining them into a titanic slime creature is pretty much death. You have the chance to get one shot most of the time. I think their regular hit is about 110 damage per hit, so yeah, you never want to let them become titanic, and if they do, you don't want to fight them at all. You want to just back off and wait for them to kind of separate. So there, I pulled the leech was standing in water, and I pulled it out, and I think I'm not sure if this is real or not, but I feel like they hit faster when I'm when they're in water. So yeah. Alright, so Luis is a very common early threat because she has the ability to banish you. But I cast Trog's Hand in, I guess, prior to engaging her, so him or her, I don't know who it is. So I handled it. I didn't get banished at all, which is good. I had I think about a 3% chance of getting banished by her, which is good, meaning that because it means that she would take maybe like 30 turns to banish me if she tried every single turn, and that's more than enough for me to kill her. Yeah, so my high regen is making this game a little bit easier, I guess. It's letting me kind of walk around a little bit and get a lot of my health back, so I don't have to be resting constantly. But obviously resting is still a good idea. I don't know how long this part's been up for, but I'll probably just finish this. I'll finish this branch and then I'll stop. I probably should have made this a lot shorter, but I'm trying out new stuff, and sometimes I forget to make it shorter. So the next video will be a lot shorter. It'll be just the spider itself, and I'll just discuss like most of the difficulties in spider. Okay, so this is my first Hydra that I have the flaming weapon for, so I'm just going to cut it to pieces. Yep, and you know, Hydras are not that dangerous of an enemy right now, but again, I don't like taking risks when it comes to Hydras. A couple of low damage hits, and suddenly you have a Lernian Hydra in your face for no reason. You didn't really, I don't know, you didn't really like need to take that risk. I guess you have enough tools to deal with it. So Mara is the most dangerous enemy. I've talked about this before, but if this is your first, I guess, series you've watched, then welcome. Yeah, Mara is the most powerful enemy for me because she summons her myself. Alright, so I'm going to switch to the flaming weapon right now, just so that when I melee, I don't accidentally cut myself. Sorry, I don't cut the Hydra's heads off and let it grow more. So I'm just gonna, yeah, take on this take on these enemies and just, you know, walk off. Okay, so this stone here is telling me that the branch is somewhere around here, so I'm gonna go in. I think this is the Lernian Hydra vault. Yeah, it looks like there's a lot of Hydras, so I'm just gonna keep my flaming battle axe on. This vault always comes with two little, niche, little, I guess, kill holes that you can kind of walk in. They're on the left and right, or top and bottom, depending on how you want to see this in, I guess, perspective. Yeah, so this flaming axe is making very quick work of enemies. I'm not really taking any damage, even though there's a lot of Hydras in my way. That's good. Isol's there. He has the potential to put me to sleep. That's the Lernian Hydra. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to haste. I'm going to pull back a little bit. I'm going to might. I'm going to summon a brother in arms. I'm just going to fight it out. So it got it's 27 head. This is a 27-headed Hydra, and apart from that, it's pretty much a regular Hydra. So I'm going to go ahead and just cut it to pieces. It's not that strong. It is kind of strong. It took a lot of health out of me, but that was kind of more because I accidentally stepped into its melee range without hitting it. But yeah, it got taken out fairly easily. No real fuss, I guess. So I'm gonna keep the flaming on just because there might be extra Hydras in here. Isol's here, but you know, with my extra regen and magic resistance from Trogsand, nothing he does will be too dangerous, I guess. Alright, so I'm gonna head on to get the rune, and then I'm gonna leave. I could explore the rest of this floor, and I probably should, but again, you can just pretend that I guess I did. If you were playing this game, just clear it. It's not a big deal. But you know, for the sake of time and tedium, nothing. Just pretend I did it. Basically, nothing. I just want to save a bit of time. I don't want the recordings to be too long because again, I know you guys, as in you viewers, crawl is a big thing to invest in, so I don't really want to take too long. I guess I'm going to return to layer 1, and I'm just going to end the recording now. So thank you for watching. I'll see you next time. Next time will be Spider's Nest, and it will be a bit of a shorter video. Alright, see you then.